Hi, we're going to do the notes now for lesson 1-4, measure and classify angles. The big question again is how do you identify whether an angle is acute, right, obtuse, or straight? And you should know what those words are already because you should have completed the frame that had them in it. So our first example, name angles. So name the three angles in the diagram. The big angle here, we could call that angle ABD or angle DBA. We would not want to call it angle B because all three of the angles in this picture share the same vertex. They all share B. Here's our second angle, and I could call that angle ABC or angle CBA. And our third angle would be this angle right here, and I can call that angle CBD or angle DBC. Use the diagram to find the measure of the indicated angle. So we're going to do three different angles here. Our first is angle TSV. Angle TSV is right here. And if you look, that goes right through 90 degrees. So that's 90 degrees. And we would call that a right angle. And you could put that little box in the corner there to show that. Our next angle here that we're going to label is angle TSW. So angle TSW is right here, and it goes right there through about 115, so that's about equal to 115 degrees. So we would call that an obtuse angle since it's between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Our next angle is going to be angle TSR. So angle TSR is right here. And if you look, it goes 180 degrees. It's 180 degrees. And it looks like a straight line, and we call it a straight angle. Our extra example here again, just to verify that we know what we just talked about, name all the angles in the diagram to the right. So we've got this large angle here, you can call that angle FGH or angle HGF. Remember, you only need one of those, you don't have to use both of the names. Here's another angle. That would be angle FGJ, or you could also say angle JGF. And then the third angle there is right here. And we could call that one angle JGH or angle H, oops, I missed my H, angle HGJ. What type of angles do the x-axis and y-axis form in a coordinate plane? Well, remember, a coordinate plane looks like this. There's my y-axis, here's my x-axis, and they come together at a 90-degree angle, so they form a right angle. Look at your chapter 1 postulates and formulas frame. We're going to add another postulate, and that's the angle addition postulate. So the angle addition postulate says if P is in the interior of angle RST, then the measure of angle RST equals the measure of angle RSP plus the measure of angle PST. So interior means inside. So what that is really saying is if I look at this big angle, these two smaller pieces in here add up to give me the larger angle. So it says given that the measure of angle FG or GFJ, so GFJ, the measure of this angle right here is 155 degrees. Find the measure of angle GFH and the measure of angle HFJ. Well, we know that those two pieces have to add up to give you 155 degrees. So I can say 4x plus 4 plus 4x minus 1, that equals 155 degrees. This will allow me to solve for x. So 4x plus 4x is 8x, plus 4 and negative 1 is 3, equals 155. Subtract 3 from both sides. 8x equals 152. Divide both of our sides by 8, and x equals 19. Now we found what x equals, but we haven't found the measure of both of our angles. So angle GFH, and just notice we have a little notation here that you may not have seen. This little M in front of the angle sign, that means the measure of angle GFJ. So the measure of angle GFJ is 4x plus 4. I'm sorry, angle GFH, 4x plus 4. But we know that x is 19, so 4 times 19 plus 4. And if you simplify that, the measure of angle GFH is 80 degrees. Now let's find the measure of angle HFJ. So angle HFJ, let me just outline that. Angle HFJ is this angle right here, and that's 4x minus 1. So we know x is 19, so 4 times 19 minus 1. And if you simplify that, the measure of angle HFJ is equal to 75 degrees. Here's an extra example. It says given the angle VRS, so angle VRS here is a right angle, and we know that because of the little box. Find the measure of angle VRT and the measure of angle TRS. So angle VRT, measure of angle VRT, well, that's x minus 4. And the measure of angle TRS, well, that's 3x plus 2. But those two combined give us our larger angle. So x minus 4 plus 3x plus 2 has to equal 90 degrees. So let's simplify. X plus 3x is 4x. Negative 4 and a positive 2 is minus 2 equals 90. Add 2 to both sides. 4x equals 92. To solve for x, we'll divide both sides by 4. And x equals 23. So now we just need to plug our 23 back in for x to find our two angles. So this is really 23 minus 4, which is 19 degrees. This one is 3 times 23 plus 2, which is 71 degrees. Let's look at our next example. It says identify all pairs of congruent. Remember, congruent was a vocab word. It means equal or the same. Congruent angles in the diagram. If the measure of angle P, so here's angle P, the measure of angle P is 120 degrees, what's the measure of angle N? So here's angle N. Well, don't those both have one marking? So angle P is congruent to angle N, and angle N, the measure of angle N, has to be equal to 120 degrees. We can also say that angle L is congruent to angle M, and we know that because they both have the two little dashes here. Since they both have 2, they're congruent angles. Our next example, example 5, double an angle measure. It says in the diagram at the right, ray WY bisects, it's a key word here, Bisects means cuts it in half or goes right through the middle. It bisects angle XWZ. So since it bisects, we know this part and this part, those two angles are congruent since ray WY is a bisector. So the measure of angle XWY equals 29 degrees. So let's find that one. XWY, that angle's right there. That's 29 degrees. Okay. Can't we also now say that this angle is 29 degrees since we know they're congruent? We want to find the measure of angle XWZ. Well, we know those two smaller angles add up to give us our whole angle. So 29 degrees plus 29 degrees, that equals 58 degrees. So the measure of angle XWZ is 58 degrees. Our extra example here, identify all the pairs of congruent angles in the diagram. So I know angle B is congruent to angle D. So angle B is congruent to angle D. Because there's two markings here and two markings here, I can also say angle A is congruent to angle C. It says if the measure of angle B is 135 degrees, so let's put that on here. It's always good to label our pictures. What's the measure of angle D? Well, we know they're congruent, so angle D also has to be 135 degrees. So our measure of angle D equals 135 degrees. Our next extra example, in the diagram below, it should say that ray KM, so ray KM bisects angle LKN, and the measure of angle LKM, so let's put that on here, LKM is 78 degrees. Since ray KM is the bisector, we know these two pieces are the same, so this one is also 78 degrees. Find the measure of angle LKN. So let's look carefully at what angle we're looking for. Angle LKN is right here, so we want the larger angle, so we need to add our two smaller angles together. 78 degrees plus 78 degrees is 156 degrees. So we know the measure of angle LKN is 156 degrees. That is all for this lesson. Feel free to go back and look at any things that you didn't understand, and have a good day.